Good morning, everyone. We are the group 2 and we will going to present three topics. But first, we're going to proceed on the topic 1, which is entitled PDCA cycle. But before we proceed to its description, let's watch the YouTube videos first.
Hey there, my name is Andy Robertson with CQE Academy, and in today's video we're going to talk about the Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle. Alright, let's head over to the computer. Alright, let's talk about the Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle. So here it is, here's kind of a pictorial reference of the Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle. And before we get into the actual process itself and dive into each of the individual steps, I want to share some basic fundamental truths about the Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle that I think everyone should know. The first is that it is a very simple process for solving problems. As quality engineers or continuous improvement experts, our jobs are to be continuously solving problems. And if you want effective and efficient results and you want to be an expert at solving problems, you should be using a problem-solving process. And that's exactly what Plan, Do, Check, Act is. Now, the Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle, or PDCA, was popularized by a guy named W. Edwards Deming, who gave credit to another guy named Walter Shewhart. So you sometimes hear this called the Deming cycle or the Shewhart cycle. In fact, Shewhart wanted to really emphasize the idea of studying your results. So sometimes he called it the Plan, Do, Study, Act cycle. So you'll hear it called by different names. But in reality, it's really just a reflection of the scientific method. While Deming popularized it and Shewhart really put a name to it, it's really simply the scientific method in action. We start by planning an experiment to test a hypothesis. We execute that experiment. We study the results of that experiment. And then we take whatever information we learned from that experiment and we form new hypotheses, or we form a more complex, mature hypotheses that we then continue to test and continue to iterate and mature over time. So really, this process for solving problems isn't anything new. It's simply just the scientific method. And then last and finally, and I know I've said this already, is that it is iterative in nature. So solving problems should never stop. At the end of your experiment, whatever it is, you should be planning the next experiment. You should be constantly, moving the ball down the field, solving problems, and continuing to use this process to get better and better and really engage in continuous improvement. All right, so now let's jump into the actual process itself. In the planning phase is where we do things like define the problem statement. So before we can solve a problem, it's good to get really crystal clear on what the problem statement is. Is it customer complaints? Is it a yield issue? Is it process capability? Is it process stability? No matter what it is, it's good to align with your team and say, this is the problem we're trying to solve. Now, of course, your problem statement might change as you spin the cycle and as you gain more information, but it's good to start here and say, this is our problem statement. And then maybe the next step is to do a fishbone diagram to identify potential root causes and potential contributing factors that you want to test and you want to experiment to either rule out or confirm. Other things here you can do is review historical data or establish targets. What should the yield be? What should our process capability be? What should our process stability be? These are all good opportunities to talk about what are we really trying to achieve when we solve this problem. And then depending on the scope of your problem, maybe you want to create a project charter that has a timeline and a project team that can help really formalize your efforts. And then lastly, and this is the most important, you want to plan some experiments. So let's say we leave the planning phase with 4 potential root causes. We should be planning experiments to test those 4 different potential root causes to either be able to rule them out or confirm them as true root causes. And then the do phase. This is quite simple, right? We want to execute the plan and we want to collect data. And then we can take that data that we collected and it's time to do the analysis. So this is where we can use a lot of these statistical tools like ANOVA analysis, Pareto charts, histograms, scatter plots, hypothesis tests. A lot of these statistical methods and tools that we talk about in quality engineering, this is the time to use those tools to analyze our results. And then we want to compare the observed against the expected. And along the way, we should be comparing the observed results against the expected. So back in the planning phase, when we create a hypothesis, we should talk about what we think the expected outcome is. And if our observed results match the expected results, well then yeah, maybe we're confirming that the root cause that we're testing for is the true root cause. But if the observed results are different, now it's time to have a conversation about why, so that we can learn something new. This is the next part. This study phase or this check phase is really when we're supposed to learn something new about our process so that we can make improvements, okay? And then I talk about this after action review. So at the conclusion of our experiments in the do phase, we want to talk about things that went well and things that didn't go well. Because eventually we're going to go through this plan, do, check, act cycle again, and we should be using that new information to make a better experiment or a more mature experiment the next time around. And then act. So now it's time to take what you've learned and to put it into action. If you did identify the root cause of your problem, let's implement changes to address the root cause. If we didn't identify the root cause, it's time to talk about the next target condition or the next experiment that we want to run. And then if you didn't identify the true root cause, it's time to talk about the next experiment you want to run. By the way, even if you did identify the root cause, you can continue to get better. So let's say we're talking about process capability. You might improve process capability a little bit, but it could always get better. So it's time to maybe talk about what that next target condition might be. And then the real important piece I want to stress here is in the act phase, or some people call it the adjust phase, it's time to start talking about how we're going to do this all over again, because no matter what problem you're solving, you can always get better. You can always make your process a little bit better. And that's where we want to keep going through the PDCA cycle. As they say, spin that wheel and keep going through the problem-solving process. So that was it. I know it's very simple, but it's a really powerful process for solving problems. All right, that's it for the Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle. If you really liked it, hit that like button down below so that other people just like you can find the same content. And if you loved it and you're interested in becoming a certified quality engineer, hit that subscribe button so that you get notified when I create new videos and I can help you on your journey to become a CQE. All right, that's it for me. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much. Bye.
A cycle is a model for carrying out change. It is an essential part of the lean manufacturing philosophy and a key prerequisite for continuous improvement of people and processes. First, proposed by Walter Shewhart, and later developed by William Deming, Pdca cycle became a widespread framework for constant improvements in manufacturing, management, and other areas. Pdca is a simple four-stage method that enables teams to avoid recurring mistakes and improve processes. As we've explained the Pdca cycle's meaning, let's get deeper into the topic and learn more about the cycle. So, where does Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle come from? The American statistician and physicist Walter Shewhart is considered the father of Pdca. He was passionate about statistical analysis and quality improvement, and he built the foundation of Pdca recorded in numerous publications. Years later, inspired by Shewhart's ideas, William Deming actually developed the model into a learning and improvement cycle, which became popular as Pdca. This is why the model is also known as Shewhart cycle or Deming cycle. Now let's concentrate on understanding the Pdca cycle in detail. Pdca cycle is an iterative process for continually improving products, people, and services. It became an integral part of what is known today as lean management. The Plan, Do, Check, Act model includes solutions testing, analyzing results, and improving the process. For example, imagine that you have plenty of customers' complaints about slow response rate of your support team. Then you will probably need to improve the way your team works in order to keep customers satisfied. That is the point where Plan, Do, Check, Act comes into play. Let's take a closer look at the 4 stages of the Pdca process. Step number 1, plan. At this stage, you will literally plan what needs to be done. Depending on the size of the project, planning can take a major part of your team's efforts. It will usually consist of smaller steps, so you can build a proper plan with fewer possibilities of failure. Before you move to the next stage, you need to be sure that you answered some basic concerns. What is the core problem we need to solve? What resources do we need? What resources do we have? What is the best solution for fixing the problem with the available resources? In what conditions the plan will be considered successful? What are the goals? Have in mind, you and your team may need to go through the plan a couple of times before being able to proceed. In this case, it is appropriate to use a technique for creating and maintaining open feedback loops such as Hoshin-Kanri catchball. It will enable you to collect enough information before you decide to proceed. Step number 2, do. After you have agreed on the plan, it is time to take action. At this stage, you will apply everything that has been considered during the previous stage. Be aware that unpredicted problems may occur at this phase. This is why in a perfect situation, you may first try to incorporate your plan on a small scale and in a controlled environment. Standardization is something that will definitely help your team apply the plan smoothly. Make sure that everybody knows their roles and responsibilities. Step number 3, check. This is probably the most important stage of the Pdca cycle. If you want to clarify your plan, avoid recurring mistakes, and apply continuous improvement successfully, you need to pay enough attention to the check phase. Here, you need to audit your plan's execution and see if your initial plan actually worked. Moreover, your team will be able to identify problematic parts of the current process and eliminate them in the future. If something went wrong during the process, you need to analyze it and find the root cause of the problems. Step number 4, act. Finally, you arrive at the last stage of the plan, do, check, act cycle. Previously, you developed, applied, and checked your plan. Now, you need to act. If everything seems perfect and your team managed to achieve the original goals, then you can proceed and apply your initial plan. It can be appropriate to adopt the whole plan if objectives are met. Respectively, your Pdca model will become the new standard baseline. However, every time you repeat a standardized plan, remind your team to carefully go through all steps again and try to improve. The Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle is a simple but powerful framework for fixing issues on any level of your organization. It can be part of a bigger planning process such as Hoshin-Kanri. The repetitive approach helps your team find and test solutions and improve them through a waste-reducing cycle. The Pdca process includes a mandatory commitment to continuous improvement, and it can have a positive impact on productivity and efficiency. Last but not least, keep in mind that the Pdca model requires a certain amount of time and it may not be appropriate for solving urgent issues. Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle is a useful tool that can help your team solve problems much more efficiently. Pdca has some significant advantages. It stimulates continuous improvement of people and processes. It lets your team test possible solutions on a small scale and in a controlled environment. And it prevents the work process from recurring mistakes.
Now, let's proceed to our topic. Pdca cycle. Next slide. What is Pdca cycle? It is a plan, do, check, act cycle. It's a four-step iterative by design method used for control and continual improvement in processes and products. It is also known as the Plan, Do, Study, Act, or PDSA, Deming cycle, control cycle, or the Shewhart cycle. PDCA is an evidence-based participatory approach to problem-solving and is found to be an effective tool for quality improvement. Origin of PDCA. The beginnings of PDCA emerged from the principles of the scientific method, which originated by Galileo but has its roots on the teachings of Aristotle. It is a method for developing ideas based on observation, then testing them through experiments, and finally, refining, changing, or eliminating the ideas. Next. Dr. Walter Shewhart first adopted the scientific method for industry and presented it as a linear flow of specification, production, and inspection. In 1939, he changed the linear sequence to a cycle to show how refinement and change lead to an iterative approach to product development. The Shewhart cycle was further developed by W. Edwards Deming in what became known as the Deming wheel. Next. So what is the plan, do, check, act cycle? The plan, do, check, act cycle is a four-step model for implementing change, just as a circle has no end. The PDCA cycle should be repeated for continuous improvement. It is considered a project planning tool. Next slide. So why use PDCA? Organizations often plan and then intend to execute, but the reality is neither linear nor predictable for this approach to be effective in reaching the target conditions. Regardless of how well plan is made, they must navigate a zone of uncertainty commonly referred to as the gray zone, which is shown in the picture. Unforeseen problems, abnormalities, false assumptions, and obstacles will appear along the path to any target. A good analogy is a person climbing stairs in the dark with a flashlight, because the target condition lies beyond the reach of the flashlight. The path to attaining it cannot be predicted with exactness. Thus, the person must find that path by experimenting. Pakibalik. Doon tayo sa when to use. Okay, so when to use the PDCA cycle. First is starting a new improvement project, developing a new or improved design of a process, product, or serving. Next, defining a repetitive work process. Planning data collection and analysis to verify and prioritize problems of root causes. Implementing any change and working toward continuous improvement. Next slide. The plan, do, check, act procedure. First, plan. Recognize an opportunity and plan a change. Do, test the change. Carry out a small-scale study. Check, review the test, analyze the results, and identify what you've learned. Act, take action based on what you learned in the study step. If the change did not work, go through the cycle again with a different plan. If you were successful, incorporate what you learned from the test into wider changes. Use what you learned to plan new improvements, beginning the cycle again.
The four stages of PDCA. So the PDCA is a systematic method used for problem solving and for continuous improvement. So P stands for plan. So in this stage, you will carefully prepare and organize before making any changes. So you start by identifying and selecting a problem to focus on. Once chosen, you define it clearly, making sure you fully understand the issue. Next is you do a situation analysis, meaning you gather data about the current state, and that will be your starting reference. And then afterwards, you dig deeper through a root cause analysis to find out why the problem is happening. And then you will identify and choose the best solution to address the real causes and develop an action plan detailing how to implement it. And the next one is do, which in this stage is about taking action based on the plan. So this part you will implement the solution, but usually on a small scale first. So like a trial or a pilot run, rather than immediately doing a full rollout. So you practice the new methods and make the intended changes, even if everything is not perfect yet. So the focus is on learning and adopting practically, not achieving absolute perfection right away. And then the next one is the check, which the situation is once the action is underway, it's time to evaluate and measure what is happening. So you collect data again to compare result with your baseline from the planning stage. So you check if the new methods are being followed and analyze what is working well and what is not. The aim is to identify any improvements and notice where further adjustment might be needed. And then the last one is the act. In this final phase, you standardize successful solution and refine or adjust unsuccessful ones. So you document effective methods through standard operating procedure to make sure everyone follows the same best practices. And you also review what didn't work and figure out why and propose changes. And then you set up monitoring to maintain and continuously improve the changes. Next. So the seventh step in the PDCA cycle. So the PDCA cycle is a structured and scientific approach to problem solving and continuous improvement. So it is divided into four main stages, but within these stages are seven detailed steps that guide teams in solving problem effectively and sustainably. So the step one is the selection and problem prioritization. So dito you will choose a problem that needs to be solved and focusing on issues that impact customer and align with company goals. So the problem must be clearly stated, measurable, action-oriented, and free from assumption about causes or solution. Prioritization consider factors like business impact, resource availability, how is it is to observe changes, and how much control the team has over the issue. And then the step two is situation analysis. In this step, the team gather all necessary facts about the problem. Before collecting data, they brainstorm causes and use questions like who, what, when, which, and how much to guide the data gathering. The team collects only essential data, organizes it into groups, and uses tools like Pareto charts to focus on the most significant causes. And the step three is the root cause analysis, which digs deeper to find the real reason behind the problem, not just the symptoms. So techniques like the fishbone diagram or the cause and effect diagram and flowchart help uncover contributing factors and the true root cause. And the team stay fact-based, interview people familiar with the process, and may revisit data collection if needed to ensure accuracy. Next page. This step 4 is the identify intervention. So after identifying the root cause, the team brainstorm and select a solution that will address the root cause directly. So the chosen intervention must be practical, cost-effective, and supported by management, and come with clear goals, timelines, and success metrics. Experiment or small trials are often conducted to test if the intervention works. Step 5 is the implementation of intervention. In this step, the team puts the intervention plan into action by following the detailed step-by-step guide. They assign responsibilities, prefer to handle resistance and monitor progress carefully using checklists and predefined data points. And then the step 6 is the checking the effectiveness of implementation. So dito, the team measures whether the intervention achieved the desired result by comparing new data against baseline data. So they use tools like run chart to see trends over time and calculate improvement rates. And this last step is the standardized successful changes. So once the intervention is proven effective, it is standardized by creating written procedures like standard operating procedures. A checklist is developed to monitor ongoing performance, and the standardization process is shared with all relevant people. Next. So the picture shows us that the step 1 to 4 is under the plan stage, and then the step 5 is under the do phase, and then the step 6 is under the check stage, and then the last step is under on the act stage.
So the next topic will be Kaizen. First, let's watch the video.
Our lives are constantly run by systems, routines, and processes, whether these are systems in the workplace, routines that we follow at home, or processes that we go through in order to get our work done. But how often do we truly assess these approaches to identify inefficiencies and areas of improvement? In my case, this didn't happen all that often, but that changed when I learned about the Japanese philosophy of Kaizen. Kaizen is a Japanese concept formed out of two words, Kai meaning change, and Zen meaning good. This philosophy is based on the principle that continuous improvement or consistent change will ultimately lead to greater results and output. In terms of productivity, it views improvement as a slow and gradual process that yields results in the long term. Following the Second World War, Kaizen was introduced to American industries as an attempt to reduce waste and increase efficiency. However, it was made famous by Toyota, who integrated this philosophy into their production pipeline as a means to catch issues as soon as they occurred. Over time, Toyota kept finding and eliminating issues with their production, so much so that the Toyota production system has become one of the most efficient and reliable in the world, with many other companies seeking to replicate this formula. In the corporate world, the Kaizen approach is normally carried out through general quality control, but many individuals and organizations have adopted Kaizen by utilizing what is known as the Deming cycle for iterative improvements on products and processes. The Deming cycle involves 4 key steps. The first step is plan, which involves establishing the process through which your goals can be achieved. The second step is do, which is fairly self-explanatory and is the point where you execute on your plan. The third step is check, requires you to assess your process and results, identifying areas where you may have fallen short or areas that could have been made better. And the fourth step is act. This is the stage where you implement those modifications that you made to your process and improve your work. These 4 steps of plan, do, check, and act form a continuous loop that never really stops. It illustrates that there is never really an end and that there will be always something that can be improved upon. Now, continuous improvement requires constant planning and checking. As you go through each cycle of this loop, you gain knowledge that you will take into the next cycle. Ultimately, this will lead to an overall surge in the quality of your output, which is what happened in the case of Toyota and many others. One of the best starting points for implementing Kaizen is to begin by identifying your goals. With a clear goal or vision in mind, you can set the standard for what you're trying to achieve and accordingly begin to assess and iterate on your way to getting to that goal. By incorporating the Kaizen philosophy into your life, you begin to recognize that small changes can have a huge impact in the future and will compound into something substantial over time. Kaizen shares the same principles as the marginal gains theory, which promotes constant improvement 1% at a time. In fact, it's been said that if you can get 1% better each day for 1 year, you'll end up 37 times better than when you first started. You can also check out more about the marginal gains theory in the video that I made on my channel, which I'll leave a card up top for and link it right down below the like button. There's always pressure to improve your productivity and increase your output, whether that pressure comes from ourselves or our peers, but much of that effectiveness of Kaizen comes from being able to identify and eliminate waste in our work. This could range from auditing the time that we spend on tasks or the way that we work through our to-do list. This philosophy of improvement simply evolves the way that you view your work and how you can steadily build on it every single day. One way that I'm doing this is by assessing my filming process for these videos. While my initial approach seemed to be working for me, I discovered that I could be more efficient by batching my filming and shooting 2 videos in a sitting instead of just 1. This helped me eliminate the time wasted setting up all of my equipment for just 1 video, when instead I could do twice as much. I'm certain that as I keep checking my production process, I'll discover more ways for me to tighten up my process. Maybe that would result in hiring an editor or improving my writing process. You just never know. Implementing Kaizen into my own life has been a good reminder that we can often get caught up in our large goals and the big picture, when the only real thing to do is to focus on continuous improvement and the process of getting to that goal. Any approach that emphasizes long-term development and constant learning is a recipe for success. So if you want to know more about specific methods to go about doing this, check out this video right here.
Next slide. So Kaizen. Kaizen refers to a Japanese word which means improvement or change for the better. and it focuses on small, continuous improvements by all employees, promotes teamwork, discipline, quality, and staff involvement. Kaizen is defined as a continuous effort by each and every employee, from the CEO to field staff, to ensure improvement of all processes and systems of a particular organization. Work for a Japanese company and you would soon realize how much importance they give to the process of Kaizen. The process of Kaizen helps Japanese companies to outshine all other competitors by adhering to a certain set of policies and rules to eliminate defects and ensure long-term superior quality and eventually customer satisfaction. And then change for good. Kaizen means continuous improvement of processes and functions of an organization through change. In a layman's language, Kaizen brings continuous small improvements in the overall processes and eventually aims towards organization success. Japanese feel that many small continuous changes in the systems and policies bring effective results than a few major changes. Kaizen process aims at continuous improvement of processes not only in manufacturing sector, but all the other departments as well. Implementing Kaizen tools is not the responsibility of a single individual, but involves every member who is directly associated with the organization. Every individual, irrespective of his or her designation or level in the hierarchy, needs to contribute by incorporating small improvements and changes in the system. So the next one po is we will watch a video again.
Imagine you've been tasked with a really important project at work. The company you're working for produces luxury cars. The production numbers are going down, and a lesser number of cars are getting manufactured each day. There also seems to be an issue with the quality of the windshield wipers that go on these cars. The question you are faced with: is there a way for the company to stop the stall in production and increase the production per day from 1,000 to 2,000? Also, is there a way to find out what's causing the drop in the wiper quality? There is. Six Sigma. Six Sigma gives you the tools and techniques to determine what's making the manufacturing process slow down, how you can eliminate the delays, improve the process, and fix further issues along the way. The concept was introduced in 1980 by Bill Smith while working for Motorola. Since then, Six Sigma has seen worldwide adoption. Six Sigma aims to reduce the time, defects, and variability experienced by processes in an organization. Thanks to Six Sigma, you can produce a defect-free product 99.9996% of the time, allowing only 3.4 errors per 1 million opportunities. Six Sigma also increases customer loyalty towards the brand, improves employee morale, leading to higher productivity. Six Sigma has two major methodologies, DMAIC and DMADV. Let's look at the first methodology. DMAIC is an acronym for Define, Measure, Analyze, Improve, and Control. Let's have a look at each of these stages individually and how it relates to your earlier problem. In the Define phase, you determine what issues you're facing, what your opportunities for improvement are, and what the customer requires of you. Here, you look at the process as a whole and determine the issues with the manufacturing process. In this case, finding out why the cars had varying windshield wiper quality and how to optimize the current process to manufacture more cars. In the Measure phase, you determine how the process is performing currently in its unaltered state. You determine the current number of cars that are manufactured in a day. In the current scenario, 1,000 cars are manufactured in a day, and each of these cars are outfitted with a pair of windshield wipers by one of 30 machines used. Some of the metrics measured are how many cars are produced in a day.
When it comes to filling a job, there's a stack of documents involved. Whether it's adding business details, correcting typos,
Time taken to assemble a car. How many windshield wipers were attached in a day? Time that takes them to do so. Defects detected from each machine on assembly completion, and so on. Following this, in the Analyze phase, you determine what caused the defect or variation. On analyzing previous data, you find out that one of the machines that installed the windshield wiper was not performing as well as it was supposed to. Production was taking longer since the car chassis was being moved across the different locations slower, as cranes had to individually pick and drop the frame. This was because the wheels were attached to the car only in the last stage. Next, in the improve phase, you make changes to the manufacturing process and ensure the defects are addressed. You replace the faulty machines that installed the windshield wiper with another one. You also find a way to save time by attaching wheels on the frame in the initial stages of the manufacturing process, unlike how it was done earlier. Now the car can be moved across the assembly area faster. And finally, in the control phase, you make regular adjustments to control new processes and future performance. Based on the changes made, the company was able to reduce production time and manufacture about 2,000 cars a day with a higher quality of output. DMAIC is one of the most commonly used methodologies in the world. It focuses on improving the existing products of the organization. The second methodology is DMADV, which is short for Define, Measure, Analyze, Design, and Verify. It is used when the company has to create a new product or service from scratch. It is also called DFSS, or Design for Six Sigma. Let's take the scenario where the company decides to build a new model, a sports car. In the define phase, you define the requirements of the customer. Based on inputs from customers, historical data, industry research, you determine what you need to ensure your car becomes a success. The data collected indicates customers are drawn to cars which can achieve more than 150 miles per hour. Customers are also more inclined towards cars which have V6 engines and an aerodynamic frame. Then, in the measure phase, you use the customer's requirements to create a specification. This specification helps define the product in a measurable method, so that data can be collected and compared with specific requirements. Some of the major specifications that you focus on are the top speed, engine type, and type of frame. In the analyze phase, you analyze the product to determine whether there are better ways to achieve the desired results. Areas of improvement are determined and tested. Based on the analysis of the prototype created in this phase, you find that the product satisfies just about all of the customer requirements, except the top speed. So, research begins on an aluminum alloy that could possibly meet the speed requirements of the customer. Following this, the design phase. Based on the learnings from the analysis phase, the new process or product is designed. Revisions are made to the model, and the car is manufactured with the new material. The analysis phase is repeated based on the new design. You also bring a focus group and see how they receive it. Based on their feedback, further changes are made. And finally, in the verify phase, you check whether the end result meets or exceeds customer requirements. Once you launch your brand new sports car, you collect customer feedback and incorporate it into future designs. And guess what? Your customers are loving the new design. And that is DMADV for you. Six Sigma has also found success in a number of different industries. The petrochemical, healthcare, banking, government, and software are some of the industries that have utilized the concepts of Six Sigma to achieve their business goals. Another commonly used methodology adopted by companies around the world is Lean. Lean is a methodology that aims to remove any part of the process that does not bring value to the customer. It means doing more with less while doing it better. The philosophy behind Lean comes from the Japanese manufacturing industry by Bob Hartman, who at the time was part of Toyota. Since then, across the world, services and manufacturing organizations have incorporated Lean within their businesses. But what if you could have the best of both worlds? A combination of both Six Sigma and Lean. That's Lean Six Sigma.
So the Six Sigma of the Kaizen these are the following elements. The first one is the teamwork, because if you don't have teamwork, so the things that we are going to work, it will be less efficient or more hassle. Next is the personal discipline, improve morale, quality circles, and suggestions for improvements. Next slide. Now, for the 5S of Kaizen, foundation of a productive workplace, the first one is Seiri or sort. Action is to eliminate unnecessary items, and the goal is to keep only what is essential to reduce clutter and confusion. SIRI stands for sort out. According to SIRI, employees should sort out and organize things well. Label the items as necessary, critical, most important, not needed now, useless, and so on. Show what all is useless. Keep aside what all is not needed at the moment. Items which are critical and most important should be kept at a safe place. The next one is Satan or set in order. The action that we need is organize everything in its proper place. And the goal is to save time and boost efficiency by reducing search time. Sation means to organize. Research says that employees waste half of their precious time searching for items and important documents. Every item should have its own space and must be kept at its place only. The next one is say so or shine. The action is clean the workplace regularly. The goal is to maintain a neat, clutter-free environment for better focus and safety. The word say so means shine the workplace. The workplace ought to be kept clean. Declutter your workstation. Necessary documents should be kept in proper folders and files. Use cabinets and drawers to store your items. Next slide. The next one is seiketsu or standardize. The action that we need is to create consistent procedures and policies. And the goal is to ensure quality and consistency across all operations. Seiketsu refers to standardization. Every organization needs to have certain standard rules and set policies to ensure superior quality. And the last one is shitsuke, or to sustain or self-discipline. The action that we need is to practice and maintain the above steps through discipline. The goal is to build a culture of responsibility, respect, and pride in the workplace. Employees need to respect organization's policies and adhere to rules and regulations. Self-discipline is essential. Do not attend office in casuals. Follow work procedures and do not forget to carry your identity cards to work. It gives you a sense of pride and respect for the organization. Next slide. 6 benefits of Kaizen. Rapid continuous improvement in the form of a Kaizen has benefits to an organization. Here are a few. The first one is training. Pre-event training provides the opportunity to expose participants to the concepts of Lean Six Sigma, as well as the variety of improvement tools used during the Kaizen. Likewise, applying the tools to a real problem increases the improvement skills of the team members. The next one is the discovery. One of the first activities in a Kaizen is for participants to go to Gemba and observe the current state of the process. Participants, if appropriate, may be assigned to separate subcategories of the problem or process. Each subteam independently goes to Gemba, documents their observations, and returns to present their findings to the entire team. The next one is teamwork. Given the diverse nature of the participants, the opportunity to interact and collaborate towards a common goal allows for development of some of the soft skills of working in a team environment. The fourth one is learning curve. The learning curve, the more Kaizens an organization successfully runs, the greater the opportunity to involve more and more employees. This will lead to more effective and efficient future Kaizens. The fifth one is leadership opportunities. It is recommended that the leadership role of the team be shared amongst the team participants. This will enhance the personal skills of the participants and give the organization a chance to observe and assess whether there is a hidden jewel or the team who could be slated for a future leadership role in the organization. And the last one will be improvement culture. The more organizational people immerse in successful improvement activities, the faster the improvement culture will develop. Next slide. Now let's move on to the types. The essence of the work and the concept of Kaizen is a continuous improvement or constant development. However, how it is interpreted in the modern business world highly depends on the nature of the business, place of implementation, and management style. Let us understand the different types of Kaizens through the points below. Number one is the point Kaizen. This interpretation is one of the most widely used types of Kaizen as it requires minimal planning and can be implemented quickly. In this practice, as soon as something incorrect or broken is found, immediate measures are taken to correct them. The second one is the line Kaizen. The line Kaizen refers to the movement of communication upstream and down the stream of an organization. Kaizen can be layered in multiple ways and extended within departments. The third one is System Kaizen. System Kaizen is an upper-level planning method implemented quickly. It is implemented to cater to system-level problems within the organization. The fourth one is Plain Kaizen. Plain Kaizen is another extension of Line Kaizen, where several organization lines are connected. And the last one is Cube Kaizen. The Cube Kaizen describes a situation where every plane in the organization is connected without any irregularities. This connection involves the suppliers and customers, which might require the business to modify the standard business procedures.
For the advantages of 5 types of Kaizen, teamwork. One of the main advantages of Kaizen principles is it facilitates better teamwork because it involves everyone in the business and believes in solving problems collectively. The targets, this philosophy of constant improvements includes everyone involved in the business, from the top-level managers to the floor laborers, suppliers, and customers. And for the efficiency, since all distractions are eliminated and processes are standardized, everyone involved in the business can concentrate on their respective tasks efficiently. In addition, restricting any time, effort, or movement waste ensures more work is done without excess or extra effort. For these disadvantages naman is disrupts current flow of work. Even though Kaizen is an efficiency building practice, it becomes a hurdle when it is implemented by replacing an existing work system. For training is implementing a system that constantly promotes improvement is idea for any organization. However, it comes at the cost training employees on the new days of operation and can cost more of for the organization. For friction, especially in an organization with an existing framework of daily activities, a sudden shift in operating style could cause frictions that might take time for the employees to get used and managers to able to motivate and supervise them. And for the last topic is Lean Principles and TQM. Let's watch these two videos. So what are the principles of total quality management? Total quality management or TQM is like a set of important rules that help make everything a company does really good and keep making it better over time. Here's what these rules are all about. First is customer focus. The idea of customer focus is like making sure everything a company does is aimed at making customers happy and meeting what they want or need. It's like when a chef tastes the food to make sure it's just right for the guests. Companies listen to what customers say, good or bad, and use that feedback to make their products or services better. In this way, they keep customers coming back and attract new ones too. Next is total employee involvement. Total employee Total employee involvement means everyone who works at the company, no matter their job, gets to help make things better. It's like a sports team where every player, not just the stars, has a role in winning the game. When everyone shares their ideas, works together, they feel like they're part of something big and are more likely to care about their work and do a good job. Next is process approach. Using a process approach is like following a recipe to bake a cake. Instead of just throwing ingredients together and hoping for the best, you follow steps that make sure the cake turns out great every time. In a company, This means organizing work into clear steps and making sure everything is done right at each step to get the best final result. Next is integrated system. An integrated system is when all the different parts of a company, like sales, production, and customer service, work together like a well-oiled machine. It's like a relay race where each runner passes the baton smoothly to the next. This teamwork across departments helps the company work efficiently and reach its quality goals. Next is strategic and systematic approach. This principle is about making a game plan for quality. It's like mapping out a route before a road trip to make sure you get to your destination. The company sets clear goals for quality and checks regularly to see how they're doing. This way, they can stay on track or change course if needed to keep improving. Next is continuous improvement. Continuous improvement or making things better bit by bit is like leveling up in a video game. Each level challenges you to get a little better. In a company, this means always looking for ways to make products, services, or how work is done by a little better. It's about not settling for good enough or always striving for even better. And next is fact-based decision making. Making decision based on facts is like using a map and compass when hiking. It helps you choose the best path based on the actual terrain and direction, not just a guess. Companies collect data and analyze it to make informed decisions. This way, they're more likely to succeed because their choices are grounded in reality. And last is communications. Good communication is having a clear and open conversation. It means making sure everyone in the company knows what's going on, understands the quality goals, and knows how they can contribute. It's about making sure messages are clear so everyone is on the same page and can work together effectively. What are the steps should be taken to implement TQM? Implementing total quality management is a journey that transforms the way an organization operates, focusing on quality in every aspect of its business. Let's delve into the detailed process of implementing TQM. Step 1 is commitment from top management. Leadership commitment is not just a first step, it's the foundation of TQM. Imagine the leaders as the captains of a ship who decide the course and inspire the crew. They must wholeheartedly believe in the value of TQM and be willing to lead by example. Step 2 is define vision, mission, and goals. Vision and goals with leadership on board. The next step is charting the course. This involves defining the organization's vision, what we inspire to be, mission or our purpose, and specific quality goals, or what we aim to achieve in terms of quality. It's like a setting destination and waypoints for a journey. Step 3 is employee training. To be successful, everyone in the organization needs to understand what it is and how to contribute to it. This is where employee training comes in. Think of it as equipping your team with a map, compass, and skills they need for the journey. Step 4 is quality improvement teams. By forming functional teams, you bring together diverse perspective and expertise to tackle quality issues. These aims are like small squads assigned specific missions to find and fix problems. They work on projects that cut across different departments, breaking down silos and fostering collaboration. Step 5 is develop quality measures. To know if you're moving in the right direction, you need to measure process. Developing quality measures involves setting up metrics that reflect the organization's performance in terms of quality. These metrics act as signposts along the journey, showing how far you've come and where you need to focus to your efforts. For the last step, step 6, continuous assessment and improvement. The aim of TQM is to continuous improvement, constantly assessing and enhancing the way things are done. It's an ongoing cycle of evaluating processes, services, and products, implementing improvements, and then measuring the results. Think of it as navigating through a landscape that keeps changing. And last is the summary.
PDCA cycle. Plan, do, check, act. A four-step scientific method used to improve processes or products continuously by planning carefully, experimenting, checking results, and standardizing success. The detailed steps: A plan. Identify the problem, analyze the current situation, find the root cause, and design an action plan. This step ensure you are solving the right problem rather than treating symptoms. Do. Implementing plan changes on a small scale or pilot test. Small trials avoid a large failures and allow quick learning. Check. Evaluate the result of the test again and baseline measurement. A data collection and analyze are critical to understanding if the change was successful. Act. If the change is successful, standardize it. Make it a part of the routine process. If not, modify the plan and retry. Learning from each cycle lead to continuous improvement. Why Pdca? Because plans rarely go exactly as expected. The Pdca cycle allows you to adapt, experiment, and move forward better solutions and systematically. When to use it? First is starting improvement projects, design new processes, diagnosing recurring problem, any situation needing continuous growth. Kaizen, continuous improvement. What is it? Kaizen is a Japanese approach meaning change for better, encouraging everyone from CEO to worker to constantly suggest small, meaningful improvements. The main elements are teamwork. Everyone collaborates, boosting morale and engagement. Personal discipline. Employee practicing good work habits and self-responsibility. Quality circle. Small group regularly meet to suggest and implement improvements. Suggestion for improvement. Every big or small ideas are valued. 5S frameworks, a Kaizen tool. Series or sort keeps only necessary items. Get rid of the rest. Seiton or set in order. Everything should have its place for easy retrieval. Seiso or shine. Maintenance a clean. Organized workplace. Seiketsu or standardize. Establish rules and processes for maintaining organization. Shitsuke or self-discipline. Build habits of following procedures without needing reminders. The type of Kaizen. Point of Kaizen is fix small issues immediately. Line Kaizen is improve an entire process, line, or workflow. System Kaizen, improve full system across the organization. Plain Kaizen, extend improvements across multiple departments. Cube Kaizen, connect improvement from suppliers to customers for full ecosystem. What are the pros and cons? The pros are stronger teams, higher efficiency, better customer satisfaction, encourage leadership and responsibility. The cons are the initial disruption when changing habits, need for training investments, possible resistance to change. The next is the lean principle in TQM or total quality management. What is TQM? TQM uses lean principle to create an organizational culture focused on customer satisfaction, employee involvement, and continuous improvements. The main principle explained are customer focused. Everything resolved around meeting or exceeding customer expectations. Next is total employee involvement. Every worker contributes ideas and effort towards quality improvements. Next is process approach. Activeness are structured methodically, like following a recipe, to produce a consistent quality outcomes. Integrated system. Department and teamworks work together seamlessly, ensuring goals are aligned. Next is strategic and systematic approach. Quality goods are clearly defined, and strategies are constantly reviewed and adapted. Continuous improvements. Never settle for good enough. Keep making small and constant advancements. Fact-based decisions making. Decisions are made using a real data and analysis, not gut feeling. Next is communication. Clear open dialogue ensure everyone understands their role and the organization goals. Step 4, TQM implementation. Leadership commitment. Senior leaders must champion quality improvements. Second one is define vision, mission, and goals. Set clear, inspiring goals for the organization's quality efforts. Employee training. Equip employee with knowledge and skill for quality initiatives. The fourth one is quality improvements team. From across functional teams to drive improvements of projects. 5 is the develop quality measures. Define metrics to track progress and success. The last one is continuous assessment and improvements. Keep evaluating and refining processes for ongoing enhancement. Throughout this presentation, we explored 3 powerful pillars of operational excellence: the PDCA cycle, Kaizen, and Lean principle in total quality management. The PDCA cycle gives us a structured, repeatable method to solve problems thoughtfully and effectively. It's not just about quick fixes, it's about using data experimentation and reflection to drive real and lasting improvements. In a world where plans rarely go exactly as expected, PDCA keeps us agile and focused on what works. Next is Kaizen. Kaizen goes a step further, building a culture where every individual is empowered to continue to improve every day. It transforms workplace into communities of innovations where even the smallest idea can lead to meaningful change. It's not about one-time effort, but about forming habits that elevate quality and teamwork continuously. And when these concepts come together, through the lens of Lean in TQM, they form a holistic long-term strategy. Lean ensures that everything we do is focused on customer value, employee engagement, and eliminating waste, making quality not just a goal, but a way of operating. Together, these principles don't just fix problems, they create resilient, forward-thinking organization ready to grow, adapt, and thrive. Thank you for joining us in this journey of quality improvement and transformation. Now let's put this idea into action and build something better, one step at a time. And here are the references in our presentation. Once again, we are Group 2. Our leader is Stephanie Gail Serrano, and the member are Christopher Andrew Javier, Mark Anthony de la Cruz, and Bea Gutierrez, and I'm Fritz Cedric Primorillo. That's all. Thank you.